This podcast is hosted in collaboration with the Comsmith, the Peterborough podcast. We're sharing stories about why Peterborough is a great place to work, live, and play. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us about where we are and how you came to be here? And
Fabulous. Okay, so Ben Morcombe's my name. I'm the general manager of this hotel, Holiday Inn Peterborough. Um, how did I come to be here? Well, it's been a long journey. It's been a very long journey. So I started that 30 years ago, give or take 30. I didn't give away my age, but about 30 years ago in hotels, and it's been a journey of different types of hotels. Really, I started out in the leisure hotel market, luxury leisure hotel market, and sort of worked my way through various different guises and different types of hotel to today, where I work in branded hotels and here in Holiday Inn. And along the way, met lots of great people, loved what I do, enjoyed what I do. And I guess here I am.
so, how long have you been here?
5 years. So 5 years, just under 5 years in this particular hotel. But the management company that runs this hotel, about 10. So in various guises.
Okay, so 5 years then, just doing the math.
Yeah.
You'd arrived just after COVID. I mean, I've got that
Correct.
later on. Tell us about that. What it was like to put into the hospitality.
Okay, it was a very unique experience. This hotel, because of its connections with the rail industry, it did trade pretty much. I think we were closed for 6 weeks or so. As I say, I came just after the end of COVID. But in terms of the hospitality industry and this hotel for a short period, it was a very, very, as in probably every industry, but an incredible period of time for us, because our hotel's closed. Our hotel's closed, and one of the things that's very unique about hotels is they don't close. They are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. At some point this hotel is always trading, and so for the hotel to go through any period of nothing going on was quite remarkable. Scary even to an extent, I guess, for most people. But hotels were able to bounce back, and we're places of people coming to see, we're places of people coming to socialise, and so it was a tricky period of time. But we managed to bounce back, managed to fight our way through like everybody else, and get through the other side.
Because you take it for granted that hotels are there and open, like you say, all the time. And you've just mentioned there, no, they're not just places for people to sleep. They're places for meetings, conferences, parties, all sorts, aren't they?
Absolutely, and I think that's what makes them so great. Is that it's such a vast array of different things that happen. But we are by nature places where people socialise. Yes, we do bedrooms and people come and stay with us. But meetings, events, special events, celebrations. It's very vast, and and I think that's what makes them quite vibrant places and quite enjoyable. It's not like an office where there's rows of desks. It's such a vibrant environment for people to meet at, and so. The change that happened during COVID was so great, but equally for us to come out the other side of that and say, actually we can thrive again. I think that was really important, and hotels have continued and thrived since.
That's true, is it? Because I always thought to myself, have they recovered back to the point where they are, or?
Yeah, listen, hospitality is in a tricky environment. I'm not too political about the whole thing, but hospitality is in a tricky place. There's a lot of pressures on the industry, but we have thrived for generations, for centuries. Hotels have been around, and I don't think that's ever going to change. Is it a tricky period? Yeah, I think it would be naive to say that isn't the case. The hospitality industry under great pressures, taxation, the changes that happened during Brexit, food costs, energy costs, which is similar to a lot of other industries, but where we are dramatically impacted, I guess more than most, was the changes to things like national insurance contributions and things like that directly impacted hospitality more than other organisations. But I'll go back to what I said. I think we will continue to thrive and we continue to grow, and I think there's reasons to be optimistic in our industry. I think you see great hotels will continue to always be around and will always have a place in society. So as long as you have a great business and you look after and nurture the people that are in it and look after the people that come and visit you, they will always be successful.
Good. And on those people, tell us a few facts about the hotel. How many rooms do you have? How many people work here? How many people visit through the year? It'd be interesting to know.
It's a big hotel. we only have 133 bedrooms, which is big for the Peterborough market. But there are obviously bigger hotels in the UK. I think what makes this hotel very unique is the banqueting space. So it's a big banqueting space, as you've seen to some extent this morning. We've got 13 events rooms, and we have a banqueting room that holds up to 500 for exhibition or 350 for a sit down. And we've got multiple large spaces, and so we have a lot of people that come through the building, and it also means that the hotel is busy constantly. And so some fun facts, we probably launder, give or take, about 12,000 items a year, give or take. So that's a lot of stuff that's coming through the building. There's tons of items that are, towels and bed sheets and loads of bits and pieces. We probably order in the region of about, we probably go through about 5,000 slices of bread a week. So there's a lot of bread coming into the building every day. The food operation is constant. There's absolutely no stop to that. And I go back to the laundering cycle. There is stuff coming in and out absolutely all the time. So if you imagine as a hotel guest, you're sleeping on a bed sheet. At the time that bed sheet's on bed, there's another one being laundered, there's another one being delivered, there's another one being prepared to go to bed. It's a constant cycle, and it's similar with the food item. We're preparing food as more food comes in, as more food goes out. And so it's a 24-hour-a-day cycle of things that go in and out of the building all of the time. Events-wise, we're hosting probably upward of 50 events a week, every single week, in various guises. And they can be very small little meetings or large-scale events. And the event side is certainly probably the most interesting part of it, I would say.
Yeah, what sort of some of the more unusual events that you've had, or
all sorts of events. So we had a Star Wars convention here not long ago. I guess that's quite interesting, but not unique. We do lots of conventions. We've held chess tournaments very recently. We've had doll exhibitions here. We had a boxing tournament here not long ago. Boxing tournament. Okay. We had wrestlers here. In fact, boxing wise, we had some of the big major boxing events during COVID were hosted in our ballroom itself, because they wanted self-contained boxing ring and rooms, and so obviously sports were able to trade during COVID, and we hosted some of those. So we had a wrestling event not long ago, which was quite interesting. Wrestling's not my thing, but if you're into it, it was quite exciting. But all manner of stuff. We do everything from exhibitions to weddings to meetings to you name it. We've done it, and we do so many throughout the year as well.
And famous people who've stayed here.
Yeah, lots interesting. We had Martin Johnson, the England World Cup winning captain, was here. Rugby World Cup winning captain. He was here for an event probably only 3 or 4 weeks ago. We've got some more, funnily enough, some more England rugby players coming to events over the next few weeks. Barry Fry, Peterborough and Barry Fry. He's here all the time for various events that we do with the football club and bits and pieces. Social media stars. I mean, I'm not au fait with social media stars, but there's been quite a few of those that have come through. We had Jeffrey Archer here on Friday. Politician slash author. He was here promoting some of the work that he's done. So we get a lot of celebrities. I can't say too much, but we had a very famous film crew here very recently. We're filming for a big Netflix program, which is very famous. I can't say too much, unfortunately, but that will come out in the not too distant future. Okay. So we do a lot of celebrities, famous people, politicians, local politicians. Always have the MPs and mayors down here on a regular basis. So it's you get to meet everyone from all walks of life.
The real breadth of people. Yeah. And whether you'll be able to mention some of these things or not, what about some of the weird things that have been left in hotel rooms?
Oh gosh, yes, there are some unusual things that people take to hotel rooms. Someone once left a pet snake in a hotel room, which was quite unusual and quite stressful to try and resolve. But left their pet snake in a hotel room, which was
got me.
Pet snake was left in a room, but not often as pets. I'll be honest, pets are not common in hotel rooms. But you get the usual, so on a daily basis, clothes, mobile phone chargers, bits and pieces. But also, many years ago, not in this hotel unfortunately, but somebody left their the urn with their one of their family members' ashes in a hotel room, and had checked out and flown abroad. So all sorts of things happen. I once sent. This is slightly separate, not at this hotel, but we once sent someone's car keys to the wrong. Gave the car keys to the wrong person who wasn't driving that car at that time, and then sent it the breadth of the country. It was in this hotel, I must add, and we had to retrieve the car keys from Cornwall whilst we were in the north of England, which was particularly stressful. So things can go wrong from time to time. Yeah, that's for sure.
That's three superb anecdotes all in one
Oh,
answer.
there are many. I always say about hospitality, there are some great stories for the dinner table. It's never boring, never dull.
No. Okay, moving on. You've kind of mentioned it a little bit, but how does the hotel give back to the Peterborough community? Because obviously people are visiting from all walks of life. We're all trying to grow the Peterborough economy. What would you say is that?
I think we take that really seriously, and it's a massively important part of what we do and our goals. I think I see my role as a custodian of this hotel, and the reality is that people will come and go throughout this hotel for the next God knows how many decades, and have done for the last 30 years. And so how do we then make sure that we are intertwined, or we've got great relationships with those people that are around us, is absolutely imperative to us. So there are things that we do. There's relationships we've got with local charities. We do some work with the Light Project, the homeless charity in the city, and they were our charity for 2025. We've done some work with Care Zone, which work with victims of domestic abuse. We do things like we sponsor Thorpwood Rangers football team, our local kids football team. We've got the shirt at the door. So we're really proud to support them and be able to help kids get into football and get out and have some purpose in life. But equally, I think also one of the things that we take very seriously is working with local businesses, trying to forge those relationships so the local economy can thrive. And we're really proud to do work with people like Nene Valley Brewery, who supply some of our beer lines in the hotel, and organisations like that, so that not only are we supporting from a charitable organisation, a local community organisation, but actually the economy is able to thrive because we're all working together. And one of the things we work very closely with is organisations like Peterborough Positive, the Cambridgeshire Chamber of Commerce, where we feel there's great opportunities locally for all of these great organisations to thrive. And both those organisations, Opportunity Peterborough is another one. There's some great organisations in the city that really do the best for Peterborough and the surrounding areas at promoting and bringing business in. So all of those things together help gel what we believe to be a thriving economy locally.
Yeah, and they're kind of some of the things you've mentioned there. They're almost hidden aspects of hospitality, aren't they? Helping smaller businesses, organisations that people might not be aware have any sort of input into the hotel at all.
Absolutely, and sometimes it's not even necessarily big, so big in your face things like Nene Valley Brewery that you walk in, you can see the draft beer pumps, and we're really proud to be able to stock their products. But it's other smaller relationships that we have. So things, for example, like local taxi companies, local florists, security firms, laundrettes, those type of things where we try and build as many relationships locally as possible, so that money's reinvested back into the local community and the local economy. It's not just about supporting organisations from a charitable. It is about building those things, and there are so many of them. And then also, we're a big employer in the city. That's really important to us. I'm conscious that the amount of families we can touch because we have the ability to employ so many people. There is, making sure we look after people, provide the right moral and ethical guidance around things is really, really important as well. So it's a big project, I would suggest.
And from what you've said there, you're very positive about Peterborough as a city by the sound of things. We've obviously got lots of things going on at the moment. So it sounds like you've bought into it. So
100%. It's a great city. I often tell people it's a bit of a hidden gem. I know that's an overused term, but there are so many great things. I think, the cathedral, and I've been fortunate enough to work over a lot of the UK. The cathedral is stunning. It's one of the best in the UK. If not the best in the UK, it's open for debate, but I think it's absolutely stunning. And it's such a great focal point in the city centre. There's not many places that can have that type of type of architecture in the middle of a city centre to bring people in. I think the ability for us to shout louder about that is really, really important. The fact that sometimes I feel like, we have to be our biggest ambassadors. People live and work in the city and shout about how great it is. I think that's really, really important. And places like the Cathedral, Flag Fen, you've got Ferry Meadows. What an unbelievable place Ferry Meadows is. It often isn't talked about, and people need to embrace those great things. The River Nene, there's some beautiful landscaping across the region, and I think the more we can talk about that, and obviously I've got my hand in on the visitor economy and bringing people in, but it's not just about that. But equally, you've got great, the new theatre's a phenomenal place. We've got a good football team. We should be shouting about great stadium. They won a trophy last year. We should be shouting about the local football team, and other things that are going on in the city. There's so many exciting projects. The Discover Peterborough piece, that which will become the Peterborough Tourism Board. What an exciting thing that's coming in the future. The dinosaur, the world's largest dinosaur at the museum.
I should be going there tonight.
Oh, well, there you go. I'm looking forward to going down to seeing that. And there's some great things that are going on in the city. And it's not just about the visitor economy and people coming to the city. We've got some wonderful cuisine in the city, such a multicultural city with such great cuisine in there, but also some great people. That's the thing that jumps out to me, such welcoming people who want to welcome you to their city and make you feel the hospitality that this place has. And I think, the big thing for me is we've got the East Coast Main Line that goes in, you've got the A1 that goes, we've got great transportation. Now it's about shouting about how great a place this is and all the great things that are there. So I'm a massive advocate for that. I hope and think over the next few years that the economy in the city and the visitor economy in particular is going to thrive phenomenally.
So going back to this hotel, what exciting things have you got coming up over the next year or so? That can be anything from offers to events to.
One of the most exciting things we have a really rich and varied special events program. We're very well known for our Christmas parties. I think one of the things always about this hotel is people know us for our Christmas parties and our events in general. But we have a really exciting and varied events calendar coming up. We've got musical events, we've got murder mystery events, we've got a carvery that we do now on Sundays. We've got, hopefully, plan is for us to have some really exciting family World Cup watch parties on. We think that's a really good opportunity for us to bring in the likes of Forkwood Rangers and surrounding football clubs to be able to come and watch with their families and maybe a more relaxed environment. So we're going to put some barbecue food on, do bits and pieces around that. So there's some really exciting events that are coming up in the city, coming up at the hotel to match the stuff that's going on in the city. So we're really excited about that. And then equally, there's some projects we've got in the pipeline in and around the hotel. We're very soon going to have a brand new steam room installed, which is really exciting, and that will sort of finish off the refurbishment project that we've done in and around the leisure club, where we've got a new gym, changing rooms. We've had a new sauna put in, and we made some real big changes to our leisure club. But also in and around the hotel, we're hoping to have some more bedrooms that are going to be added shortly, and so we're continually upgrading on our product. And hopefully bringing the best version of ourselves. I think that's the most important thing. So it's an exciting time for the hotel.
Because the World Cup will be perfect because, excuse me, a lot of the matches will be quite late. So you'll be able to stay here and 11 o'clock kickoff or 1 o'clock in the morning kickoff, but rather than going to a pub, something like that.
I think that's what we're trying to provide. Something that's a bit softer, it's not too in your face, people drinking pints, obviously we're drinking a pint of beer, don't get me wrong, but a little bit softer, children having the ability to be able to run around and play and put some barbecue food on in a really relaxed environment. And I think, I've always been a big believer in, I think back to my childhood and the 1990 World Cup and the 1996 Euros, and it had the ability to bring the nation together, and I always think with big sporting events, those type of things do. But I think what's really important is it's a family thing. When I think about the most exciting times watching sports in my life, it was always a family environment. And so that's what we're hoping to be able to deliver here.
Cool. Peterborough has one of the highest NEET rates in England, obviously not in employment, training and education. So does the hotel helping with that work experience and things like that?
Yeah, we work with a lot of the local schools around work experience. I think one of the things we're quite proud of is our supported internships that we do with Stanford and Peterborough and Stanford College, where we help children get into the hospitality industry. And what I've really been most proud of with that type of thing is that we've been able to take people not just through apprenticeships and internships into actually full-time employment. And to me, that's a massively important part of what we do. It's not just about being able to give people experience, it's about able to give them a pathway into our industry. And hospitality is so rewarding and offers such opportunity to see all, to go all over the world and do all sorts of type of jobs. Often people think about hospitality and think about making beds or serving food or cooking food, but actually, there's marketing people, there's human resource people, there's maintenance, but the list goes on of such a vast different types of roles that you have. And so we've been really proud of being able to support that, not just, like I said, not just with supporting with work experience and internships and apprenticeships, but actually being able to say, if you do this, at the end there is a path into employment and the stepping stone into a great industry where the possibilities are endless. You can go on to do so many different types of things. So we're really proud of that. And we're trying to forge closer relationships with Anglia Ruskin University, Peterborough College, where the two great organisations that are doing phenomenal things. And I was at both of their places over the last sort of 3 or 4 months, listening to the things that they're doing and finding out how we can help and support better. Be that doing talks at the universities and colleges to help people understand hospitality, but also to be able to show them the path that it takes to get into hospitality. So I believe passionately in the promotion of young people, because they're the future of what we do.
Of course, and like you said, you can, in effect, once you started on this industry, you may be able to move across the world. You might be able to go to New York or Dubai or on a cruise ship or whatever. The similar customer care and the helping people is a similar thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. And the barriers to entry are not high. You can get into our industry and from that point, the opportunities are endless. When I first started in hospitality, you sort of see, sometimes it's hard to see the path for where you get to, but you see people along your journey take the steps and the skills that they learn, and not just necessarily the technical skill, but the working in groups, working with different faculties within one area of employment, and learning such a vast array of skills. We are people essentially, and that skill is transferable to vast areas of employment and different industries. And so for me, I'm really passionate about making sure that the future of our industry is constantly being nurtured, given opportunities. And here, we've always looked to develop and promote internally, and that's a Valor, who are the management company for this hotel. That's the philosophy that we live by. And across my team, there is multiple examples of people that have gone from very junior roles into very senior leadership roles in this hotel. And I'm really proud of that. I think it's something we should all be very proud of.
Okay, this is a two-part question now. There's only a couple more to go. One is, when you go to other hotels, do you look at them and think, oh, you could do that better, or you could do that better, or whatever? Or do you think that, oh, that's amazing, we need to bring that back here? That's part one. And part two is, you still get the same buzz when you visit a hotel you've not been to before? Because I do a lot of travel, like with my football team and stuff, and I love hotels. And that whole, it's somewhere new and it's somewhere. There you go. 2 questions for you to go on.
So listen, I think it's human nature to be able to look at things and try and see fault in them, or try and see success in them. That's sort of how we're built. I think what you do as a general manager or as a manager in a hotel is have huge respect for the challenges people face in trying to maintain buildings, to be able to nurture their team, grow their team, deliver great service, the challenges that come with that. So I've got a huge amount of empathy and respect for people that are trying to do that, because I know how hard it is. I think one thing I always try and do is learn. I think that's really important in any line of work, but particularly in hospitality. I, like you, go to a lot of hotels and travel a lot and see a lot of places. And I think there are great things in every hotel you go to. In everywhere you go, there are things that you can learn. There are people doing great things. And I think that can be anything from types of offerings that they do, to the way they do certain things, to the culture that they deliver in their business. So I'm constantly trying to learn every time I go anywhere. I think I try not to be uber critical with certain things because, like I said, I know how hard it is. Um, it's it's one of those things where, like anyone, if you're a guest in somewhere, you want to be made to feel looked after, and so I hope and think that people always do that. And if it's not there, then I will say that. But I have huge empathy because I know how tricky it is. In terms of the buzz, absolutely. I love. I'm a people person. I love meeting new people. I love learning new things. One of the exciting things I always find is bringing new people into the organisation, and listening and learning from them, even if it's not necessarily about hospitality. I find that fascinating. But also, the world's evolving. I have people that come into my team that are half my age or younger, who have got far greater knowledge. We spoke earlier about social media, far greater knowledge on
Yeah.
social media than I'll ever have. And I can learn from them. And so I try and keep I think if you're learning, and you're constantly learning, that buzz will always remain. The moment you think you've achieved something or that you've achieved everything, that buzz will start to go. Thankfully, I've never got anywhere near that. And every day I still wake up with that same enjoyment and passion of trying to be better and trying to improve everything we have here so that our guests have the best experience they can possibly have.
Cool. Final question then. You kind of mentioned it earlier, but we will go back to it. If you had 60 seconds to sum up why you think Peterborough is a great place to live, work, and play, what would you say?
I'd start with the people. It's a great place for people because there are some unbelievable different communities in the city. It's somewhere where everyone comes together. It's a great melting pot of different cultures, which leads into great F&B experience, food and beverage experiences, some great restaurants, some great bars, some great places to stay. There's unbelievable architecture, archaeology across the city. There's great transportation links that can bring people here and take people away afterwards. And most of all, I just think the opportunity in the future is so exciting. I think there's so many great things going on at the moment in the city, great projects, and it really feels like there are people coming together to work together for the betterment of the city. I see that politically, I see that socially, and I think that's a really, really exciting time for us. And I think the big thing now is that everyone jumps on board that and supports that because the possibilities are endless. That's the exciting part, I think.
Perfect. Thank you.
Spot on.